If you often feel like you are less than other people or that you're not confident enough, then this video is going to give you the tools to start working on that so that you can start showing up as a more confident and secure version of yourself. Honestly, it's something that I struggled with for a very long time as well, and I've been working on my self-worth for a while now. And so that's why I wanted to share some of the things I did that have really helped me to start rebuilding my self-worth. So step number 1 is to make a list of evidence of things in your life that indicate to you that you are enough. Many times we have a default voice in our head that randomly comes up saying that, oh, you're not enough, you are less than other people, you are so insecure, you are so this, you're so that, you're not capable. But most times this voice is not actually accurate. It's just exaggerating everything. So when you take the time to list evidence of actual things in your life that prove that you are worth, that prove that you are enough, that prove that you are loved by people around you, that you are capable, that is a very subtle way to start telling your mind that actually you're telling me that I'm not enough, but I can see all of this evidence in my real life that shows the opposite. So your job is to sit down and start making a list of evidence that disproves the fact that you are not enough and you're not worthy. Anything really that you can identify in your daily life that is showing to you that actually you are worthy and you are loved by the people around you and you have accomplishments and things you have done that shows that you are enough. The second thing you can start doing is reframing your inner critic. I think most of us have an inner critic voice. For some people it's harsher than others, but we all have that voice inside of us that tells us that we're not enough, we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not kind enough. And so it's very important to start being aware of that voice and start reframing it. So the way you reframe it is, the first thing you have to do, you have to start becoming aware of it. So you have to start observing when it shows up. Is there particular scenarios in your life where this inner critic is more loud? Is there particular times where it comes out? What does it say exactly? And when it happens, when you start being aware of it, take a second to observe it first, instead of shutting it down, because many times shutting it down doesn't work because we don't really believe what we're saying when we shut it down. When we try to say, no, I am enough, I can do it, but we don't believe it, it doesn't actually work in silencing that voice. And so it's important to observe it first and then challenge it and then reframe it. So many times this voice exaggerates the situation. So for example, you made a mistake and you start hearing within yourself, oh, you always make mistakes, you can't get anything right. That's the time where it's important for you to observe it, stop and be like, okay, I did make a mistake in this instance, but that doesn't mean that I always make mistakes. There's been times where I did things right. It's just we tend to put more focus on the times we get things wrong. And so it's important in those instances that you reframe it in the context of the bigger picture of your life and all of the times you actually got things right. And that helps to reframe that voice, because now you understand that, yes, I am acknowledging that I made a mistake, but it doesn't mean that I am a failure or that I always get things wrong. And then it's important to also replace it. And the way you replace it is by starting to talk more positively to yourself and about yourself. Because a lot of times when we listen to that inner critic, it then puts us down, and it doesn't just affect us in that moment, it affects our future actions as well, because it keeps then showing up when we're about to do something else to remind us that we're not capable enough, we're not good enough, and so on. So that's why it's so important to start observing it, reframing it, and replacing it with more positive self-talk. The next thing you can do is start building a new identity. I grew up thinking that there were certain sides of my character or my personality that couldn't really be changed, that that's just how I was. And yes, I believed that there was certain things that I could work on and that I could change, but I thought there were other things that I couldn't really do much about. The truth is, the more I grow up, the more I realize that there's a lot more things that we can work on and that we can change and improve on than we actually think. It's just many times we think that our habits are our identity. So for example, maybe you have a habit of getting angry really fast. And so you think that that's how you are, that's your personality. But most of the times these are learned behaviors. And if a behavior is learned, it means it can also be unlearned. And this is what I mean by building a new identity. Start noticing maybe some of the things that you do that you don't really like. We all have those times where we think, I could have behaved myself in a certain way. And maybe it's a pattern, you tend to repeat that pattern. So when you notice that, don't just tell yourself, oh, but this is who I am. And then that thought still makes you feel like you are less than because you think you should be able to control yourself better, for example. Acknowledge that that's how you've learned to be, that's who you are right now. But embrace the fact that you can always change. You can build a different habit. you can stop being the one who gets angry easily and start being someone that is able to control themselves better. Obviously, it's difficult and it takes a lot of work. It takes learning a completely new habit, and especially when we're adults, this is more difficult to do because it takes unlearning and it takes taking off brick by brick the mechanisms and the behavior that we most likely learned throughout childhood. But it is possible, and so instead of suppressing our flaws, telling ourselves that this is just who you are, but then it still makes us feel like we are not as worthy or that we're not enough, acknowledge the fact that you have certain flaws, because we all have them, but also learn that you can start building a new identity. You can start building different habits, and ultimately, if you stick to building new habits, then those habits will become your new identity. So yeah, I thought I'd share some of these things because I know self-worth is a pretty big thing for most people. I think most people go through a period of their lives where they're questioning their self-worth or they're feeling insecure. And I think this is especially true when you are in your early 20s. But honestly, I'm starting to see that it kind of resurfaces every couple of years in our life. Whenever we find ourselves starting a new chapter in our life or going through something new, it kind of always resurfaces. So it's important that we learn what kind of actions we can take to start building and strengthening our self-worth. So I really hope you found this video useful and that it has inspired you with what actions you can start taking to start building or strengthening your self-worth. And let me know in the comments if there's any other advice that you would like to share about rebuilding or strengthening our self-worth. I think it's always useful to learn from each other. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in today. I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.